Kevin Hunter with Dave Ford on the Business Forum show and visiting about some of the major challenges that we run into as business people. And one of the favorite questions I like to ask people is, what keeps you awake at night? And you know, the interesting thing is when I've run into business people that I've encouraged to go out and chat with other business people in their community, and they've said, well, I don't, what do we talk about? I don't know what to talk about. I said, well, why don't you ask them this question? What keeps you awake at night? And you'll be stuck there for a good hour listening to what keeps you awake at night. So.
Absolutely, because you'll get all the crap that keeps you awake at night.
Yeah.
It's, that's, if a business owner is honest with who they are, you get somebody who asks that question, what keeps you awake at night? Oh, I sleep like a baby. No, nothing. Yeah, you're full of crap. Nobody's that successful.
But a baby also gets up every hour and cries, too.
Correct.
So maybe they are sleeping like a baby.
Maybe. If you were to ask, is Bill Gates a successful business person? Do you think there's stuff that keeps him awake at night?
Without a doubt.
Absolutely there is.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't a successful business person out there that doesn't have stuff that's keeping you awake at night.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If you think there's nothing keeping you awake at night, you're a horrible business person. You're not successful.
Mm-hmm.
Your shit doesn't stink. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you're successful, one of the reasons you're successful is because stuff's keeping you awake.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you're paying attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta, when we talk with business owners and they share that stuff, part of sharing that stuff is getting through it, getting past it, and admitting that you have, weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, world-class athlete. Do they ever have, challenges and off days and I need to do this, and where they're stressed about the next game or whatever it is. Absolutely.
They find 100 different ways to motivate themselves.
Absolutely. And if you don't have that, then look at closing the door sometime fairly soon, because it's gonna come up to bite you somewhere along the line. Now, what typically keeps business owners awake? Simple things like, how do I pay my employees?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the money going to come from? I'm not going to have enough money this week or next week. How do I keep this going so I'm paying my employees?
The lease is due on the 10th.
The lease is due on the 10th, right? There's one of the big ones is just around money and making sure there's enough money in the bank to pay everybody. That's a huge one. Another big one that keeps them awake is, I don't really know where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we going? What's the point? Where are we going to be a year from now or 2 years from now? They don't have that big picture in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a struggle for business owners, because especially if you've got employees, you're supporting these employees.
Mm-hmm.
These employees are relying on you knowing where you're going, knowing, they believe they're under the impression that you have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
That 3 years from now they're still going to have a job and this is where they're going to be, or there's a progression for them, promoting inside your business, and they don't want to. Most people don't want to have the same job for 20 years and not get a raise and not get promoted. Most of them want to grow with you, and not having any idea of what that really looks like.
It's interesting, Dave, is who's the character that wore I think it was a green uniform with all these white question marks on it?
Oh, yeah, the Riddler.
The Riddler, okay, yeah, the Riddler. And so you can tell I'm a big Riddler fan.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, the Riddler, the green suit and the white questions. And when I see business people, that's actually what I kind of see, because you see this person that, and almost to an extent, if they sound very self-assured and I got all this figured out and got all that figured out, you're going, no, actually, there's even more questions on that guy's uniform.
Yeah.
So when you think about what they're struggling with and battling with, there are so many unanswered questions for most business people out there that if you could actually see the number of questions going through their minds during the day, and especially at night, keeping away at night, they'd look like the Riddler.
Well, and that's one of the biggest problems, is there are so many business owners out there that really don't have it all together, but are putting on an act like they do, that the ones that know they don't have it all together think it's just them. They really think, well, it's just, I can't tell you the number of people that I meet with where we're talking about budgets and plans and measuring and hiring and all different aspects of their business, and they'll say, oh, so it's not just me. That's really how it is. Yes, that's correct. Here, and I'll introduce you to 20 other people that are in the same boat you are and have admitted it. And the reality is, if you know 20 other business owners 18 of them are full of crap.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have what it takes, or they don't have it all together. They're having issues. They're staying awake at night. The problem is only 4 or 5 of them are ready to admit it. The rest of them are posing.
Mm-hmm. Here, in all fairness to the posers, because there's obviously far more of those than there are really truly successful business people.
Yep.
But wouldn't you have to agree that almost everybody goes through a so-called posing phase? That there's a phase in the development of all of us as business people where we really don't know on how to go from where we're at to where we need to go. And, you just you go to the after hours events or things like that and bump into other business people and they say, how are things going? You go, great. And inside you're going, crap.
Yep.
But that's what you're doing, and you're hoping that at some point you can say great and actually be honest about it.
And actually be honest about it, and it's really going great.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're hoping that comes along.
Yeah, there's definitely some of that going on.
Yeah. And so, the unfortunate thing, and we've had a lot of discussion about this, but people are so slow to either ask for help or get to a point where they recognize that they do need help. Mm-hmm. And most of the people that have accomplished a level of success in life have come to a point where, like the business gal you just talked about earlier, when you mentioned you're talking to her about, what she needed to do in her business, and she just says, stop, you don't need to tell me anymore. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep.
I'm going, that is a really smart business person.
Absolutely.
And now, so how late was she in her business cycle? Like, had she already been in business for a while?
A couple of years, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So not very long, and she'd already had come to that realization.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of people been around for 20 years,
yeah.
25 years. Well, in this case, this organization I was talking about,
yeah.
There's a 40-year member there bucking and kicking and screaming about actually introducing a planning process to this whole thing and been implementing hope as a strategy for 40 years and thinks it's okay.
Yeah, and it's not.
So what do you do about that? Kevin Hunter and Dave Ford here on the Business Forum Show. And I'll tell you what, think about what's keeping you awake at night. And I would bet if you look at yourself in the mirror and think honestly about it, you'll see yourself as the Riddler too, because you'll have question marks plastered all over yourself.
Yep.
What do I do? Where do I need to go? What's coming up next? Again, Kevin Hunter with Dave Ford here on the Business Forum Show, talking about some of the questions that business owners ask themselves and why they're of interest to people in our listening audience. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned.